GTK4 came out a few years ago. GTK3 is still active and under support and probably the most used at the moment. GTK4 may become popular or it may become another Itanium. I don't know. One of the problems is that it's not backwards compatible to GTK3. You can't take GTK3 as is and run it in GTK4. There's a lot of things that are compatible, however, but some things aren't, and those are the things you've got to worry about. There's also some cases in GTK4 where they kept the same function name but changed its parameters. That can cause problems. But anyway, here is a simple example that should get you started. What I took is the first video I did on how to put up a button and turn on and off a label and create a window, the basic, simple, almost a hello world for a GUI. And I've converted it to GTK4. If you follow this template, you should be able to convert a lot of things. I don't know of anything in particular that won't, but there probably is something. First of all, what is in the software package? And you see that listed here. First of all, there's a compile script, which you can see in the background over here, is a script on how to compile it, and it shows you what you need to install. You need GTK4. There's the C program. There's two Glade files. This one is the one going to be used by the program. It's for GTK4. This is a GTK3 Glade file. Glade is apparently not going to be ported to GTK4. The output from Glade is different than for GTK3 than GTK4 wants. In other words, a Glade file created by Glade, which is an XML file, as you know. The XML file of Glade is not compatible with GTK4. The object builder has problems with it. But there is a conversion routine. So this here is actually the one that's highlighted here. That's a Glade file. It's a GTK3 version, but it can be converted to this one, which is for GTK4. In other words, it takes this XML file, and as you know, these are XML files. Yeah, see, there's the XML file. It takes the XML file, and it will convert it from the format that is output for GTK3 to the format which is used by GTK4. Have I confused it sufficiently? So this is the one, if I hit display, I'm going to get a lovely little, well, it's not little, it's a little overly big, but I'm going to get, Glade comes up, and it's, you can see we've got a window, we've got a fixed container, we've got a button, and it's not exactly very dramatic, it's just a button. And as a signal, the signal's on button 1 clicked. Okay, and hidden down here, not all that visible, there's a space for a label. Label has no contents at the moment. Sometimes it gives you little nasty little deprecation messages, but it didn't here. Okay, so there's a label, label 1, it doesn't have any signals. Labels tend not to. Okay, so we've got a button. We've got a label, and we've got a fixed container, and we've got a window. Pretty basic GTK GUI. All right. So if I saved it, I'm not going to save it because it's obviously I didn't change anything. Okay, so that's this guy. This guy here, we have to create, and let's see, open with text editor. And you'd have to go through it to find this version 4 up here. There's your leading edge of why it wouldn't work, why the other one wouldn't work, because it has version 3 on it. But it's there's some changes. There's the location of things and so forth is spelt out with different words. It does the same thing as where is it going to exist, but they use different words. So, for example, if let me see if I just compare the two there without. Say open with, I'm in Linux Mint 21 using the Mate desktop manager, if you're wondering where I am. Okay, property here. What was the first property here we have? Oh, it's a GTK fixed. Transform. Where's the button? Do you see a button here? There's the button. Okay, the button. And it has a property. That's its location. All right, let me find the button here. Here's the button here. And it doesn't use the word, it uses word packing, not translation. You can see this back bit down here, that's the positioning of the button, 3640. Here the positioning of the button is done this way. Why? I don't know. What was wrong with the other one? I don't know. No one really wants to read XML, and they certainly don't want you to change it. But anyhow, so it does the same thing. It just does it in a slightly different way. So, like I say, that's the way they wanted to do it, but that's what's going on. So this guy here, which is the GTK3 Glade code, XML code, has to be converted to this guy, which is the GTK4 version of the same thing. All right, this is my executable, which let's get an executable here, a place where I can execute. Open a new tab here. I picked a lot of bad names, but part 1, I started with part 1 back in the beginning. I kept the same part 1 all the way through, and all the executables I made -bin, so that I just like it. You can name anything. Okay, so there's the window. That's actually in GTK4, and if I click the button, it turns on the label. Brilliant. But, you know, it's the tip of the iceberg. It's if you can do that, you can do a lot of stuff. Of course, clicking again doesn't shut it off, but that would be easy to do. Anyhow, you could make it a toggle button, too, instead of a plain old single-click button. But yeah, there you are. That's in GTK 4. But you write your Glade. If you want to use, and I assume you want to use Glade. You use Glade, build your app, then you have to convert it to this guy. How are you going to do that, you ask? Well, here is the compile script. Okay, I'm in the VI editor. It looks pretty much the same. Bin bash. Okay, first of all, you're going to need GTK4. How do you get GTK4? Here's how you get GTK4. As root, you run those commands, which installs GTK4. And gee, I think there should be a star at the end of this thing. That should be a star at the end of that. Whoops, not an ampersand. Gets all the GTK4 libraries. Let me go over here and open another tab and sudo apt install lib GTK-4 star to see if that works. I spelled everything correctly. Lib GTK-4 star. Lib GTK-4 star. Yeah, it seemed to like that. In other words, everything's already installed. So I left the star out. It's in there now. Okay, there should have been a star there. So this should not conflict with your GTK3. You'll have both. You actually already have GTK2 in your system as well if you go looking for it. Things never die. I'm told that GIMP is still mostly in GTK2. Going from GTK2 to GTK3 isn't all that big a job. There's a lot. They look very similar. I've never really deliberately played with GTK2, but anyway. Okay, that gets you the software you need. None of this is going to work without that. Okay, here is the magic one. This is something they provided to convert XML from GTK3 format to GTK4 format. GTK4 Builder tool. I don't particularly, their parameters simplify. I don't know, you can look it up. I'm not going to bother, but this works. Maybe the opposite of simplify is complexify. I don't know, but this works. It probably has some other things it does. Now, this will only work if you've done the install. And what it does is, and there's a parameter of 3 to 4. Guess what that means? You're going to convert GTK3 to GTK4. I don't know if it goes in reverse. I expect not. But anyway, here is the GTK3 XML file. It's .glade, but it's really an XML file, as you know. And the output of this redirected to part1.glade. So the very first thing it does there is it takes the GTK3 Glade file and converts it to a GTK4 Glade file. This is the one I use in the code, obviously. All right, how to compile? Well, GCC, give it the name of the thing to compile, part1.c. O-O tells it this will be the name of the executable file, part1-bin. Otherwise, it would come back as a.out. And here it sets up the package flags and so forth for GTK4. It's got some warnings I turn off. I don't think there are any in this code, but there might be. Anyway, it gets hyper fussy at times. And I like to live dangerously. Okay, backslash means it's a continuation, some more things, deprecated declarations. I have a tendency sometimes to use Kernighan and Ritchie notation, but anyhow. Another continuation, and here's some more flags for the libraries for GTK4. One's for the link libraries, and the other's for the includes and so forth. And you have to say export dynamic. That allows the callback functions to be dynamically linked at runtime, as opposed to having to have them all declared in advance, which you have to do if you didn't do this. Anyway, so this is the same. These flags and so forth are the same, but they have 4 in them instead of 3. All right, so there's the compilation, and if I were to run it, no error messages. Isn't that wonderful? And I'm not doing / because I've changed path to include my current directory. Normally, if you're new to this, you put / in front. And it pops up there, and we've already seen this. Big deal. Not the end of the world. Simple application, but if you can put a button up there, you can probably put just about anything. All right, now we get to the mystery part, the code. And here is the code, and how many lines have I got here? 92 lines. There's some copyright stuff at the top. Here's a bunch of includes, several which I don't need because I'm not really using them. std lib is pretty standard. I'm not really using signals. String.h I think I am using, stuff like that. I'm not using math, but it doesn't hurt. I should probably delete them, but nonetheless, it's not going to hurt. Here's the one you need, which is the GTK4 include files. Don't bring in GTK3 because it won't work. Well, I don't know. It might work. Who knows? Because you'd be then looking for GTK3 stuff. That is the include file for GTK4, and it's down there in your /users/include directory, and you'll see the other ones down there too. They're hiding down there someplace. Let's see if we can bring them up here. Let's go to, these are all the previous test versions I've done of this. Hopefully this will not be another one. File system /user. Where is it? Up here. My eyesight's not real good. Include, and yeah, GTK2, GTK3, GTK4. You have a choice. Nothing ever goes away, as they say. All right, so they're down there. And that's what you're picking up. The objects here, we got a window, makes sense. We got a fixed container, that makes sense. We're gonna have a button, that makes sense. We're gonna have a label, that makes sense. We're gonna use the object builder. That's the whole idea. It reads in that XML file. We're going to have an app. Where'd that come from? That's new. It's actually old, but they've gone to it. All the GTK underscore main functions, things like that, are gone. Instead, you use everything's attached to an app, and that does all the initialization and everything. I don't know why that's better, but they claim it is. It's actually been around for a while. It's just not the commonly used thing. Okay, we're declaring some callback routines on window destroy, which is what I use in GTK3. If I click this little X box up here in GTK3, I get a window destroy or a destroy signal on the window, and the window is set up with a destroy signal. If I go over here, I don't think I set it up with a destroy signal because I've not been able to have it give me a destroy signal. Let me see what the window is set up for here for signals. Yeah, it's set up for a destroy, but I've not been able to detect a destroy signal. Don't know why. But you have to have it. It'll get annoyed if you don't. Probably because I've called for it, but I don't know. What you get is a close request. So clicking that X box up there, and I'm in Mint X, or excuse me, Mint X they call it, and I've gone to the theme, which looks like Windows 95 or something like that. That's why you see them. I like them that way. They're easy to read for me. But anyway, whatever these buttons are called up here, the Xbox now gives you a close request. So it's declared here. We got a callback routine here called onActivate. It'll be created when the application is created. Well, it'll be called when the application is created, and it does all of the work that we previously did in the main program. So when this guy gets called, and we'll show in a minute how it gets called. First of all, you call a builder. This is the same, and it's reading part1.glade. That's the GTK4 version, because we're getting the GTK builder new from file from the GTK4 library, not the GTK3 library, so it needs a GTK4 XML file. Remember, .glade means .xml, really. Okay, we get the window. This is the same as before. If you look back in the code, I cast everything down to a widget for simplicity, but it is actually a G-object for a window. Doesn't matter, it still works. Okay, here is where we attach the window to the application. We got the app, a pointer to the application in the as the parameter to this function. So app was provided on entry, and we're attaching the window to the application. As long as the application has a window, the application continues to exist. When the window disappears, the application disappears. Okay, here's my close request. That's the signal I get when I hit the little X box up there. Yeah, and this is standard connection. It's a close request, and G-callback, and I give the name of the function to handle it, and there's no parameters. Other than the fact you get the window. I think you get the window. I don't know. I haven't really tested, because at that point you don't care about the window, you're killing it. All right, now we've got the various entities that are actually that took care of the window. Fixed one, this is the same as before. I cast everything down to widgets, as you've seen before, as the button, and I get it out, and those are the names over here on the right side. These are the names of the widgets in the Glade file or in the XML file. They don't have to be the same as the names of the pointers. The pointers can be a different name, but it seems easier to keep them the same. So it's pulling them out based on the names you used in the XML file, and it's getting the and instantiating the entities. All right, set title on window, no change there. That's the same, and I said GTK4 window. I had to cast it to a window now because its basic data type is widget, but it is actually a window, so I cast it to a window. I cast a size to it. I don't know what the default size was, but 300 wide, 200 tall. It's a small window. And then show the window, and then we say go bye-bye. This is the activation routine. This is the activation callback, which starts it off. Down here in the main program, which is really small, first of all, we create a new application. We connect to it the signal activate, which will invoke on activate, which is the function we just looked at above, and passing nothing to it other than, of course, the pointer to app. And then I run it. Okay, the connection's been made, nothing's happened yet. When I run it, one of the first things it does is it goes out there and calls on activate. And on activate does the other things we mentioned. And we pass down the parameters that came in to the main program. I don't know what parameters are going to affect GTK4, but this was also true in GTK3. When you activated the GTK main or something like that, or there was a GTK init, I guess it was, you passed down the parameters that came in as the to the command line that invoked the program. That's what those are, command line parameters. The first one's the count. The second one is an array of pointers that point to strings containing the parameters that were on the command line. Okay, it's up and running. The app runs. The app is the replacement for GTK main, and I had it here, but I didn't. I lost it on a list of what it does. It does a lot of initializations, and it runs your app. It sits there and monitors the signals and so forth. When you're done, you unref it, and you disappear, and you pass back a status. I don't know what the statuses are. I assume they're standard command line bash type statuses. I don't know. I haven't looked at them. Okay, what have we got down here? This is very simple. It's button one clicked, same as before. This is where the text gets set. Prior to this, the button, excuse me, that's not where the button text is already there. This is where the label text gets set. The label has no text, and it's on the screen, but you don't see it because it's got no text. and this establishes the world, hello world. But the parameters why it came up red was from the Glade interface, where I went in there and I told it I wanted it to be bold and emphatic and so forth. Let's see that for a second. Don't click this one. It'll give you it won't like it. It'll probably mess it up. Yeah, so if I go down here, find, just to remind you, there's the label. You see it's empty, but if you go over Edit Attributes and you go down to Edit, you see it's set up to be sans bold italic size 18. And in one of the other parameters, it's all the color is set, but that's where it got the color and so forth. All right, so this is where it gets the contents, and I set the label to Hello World. On close request, on G-application quit, goodbye. That ends it. And I have to have the on Windows destroy, probably because I've got it registered as a signal. I'm not sure. But I've never gotten a Windows destroy signal, and I don't care. Close works fine. So that's all. That's it. It's, this simplifies it, but basically that's what you want, simple. So essentially, you make a main program that looks like that. Of course, you can have other things in the main program getting set up, and like in my player, I go through an awful lot of contortions to attach to the pulse audio and a whole lot of things. But basically, when you get down to what was GTK main, this is it, and that kicks it off. And the first thing it does is it does a callback to on activate, and that's where you actually create your window and get things up and running. And then down here, you just at the bottom, you have your signal handlers. So yes, you can run GTK4 fairly easily. You can use Glade, as long as you remember you have to do a conversion at the beginning here, and I've put it right into the script. And that converts the GTK3 into GTK4. I'm sure there's limitations. I don't know what they are. You'll find them if you hit them. But the simple stuff seems to work okay. And then when you do the compile, the big difference is the flags and everything are coming in as GTK4 rather than GTK3, and that should give you a running program. So GTK, we'll see if GTK4 takes off, or whether it just has too many difficulties for too many people. But if you want to be GTK4, this is how you can do it, and this is how you can continue to use Glade. Or you can just use GTK4 and start to learn XML. That should be fun. Anyway, so as you sit there merrily programming on your Itanium, which as you know is once the world's greatest, best, most advanced, and now is just a footnote, we'll see.